סגן הנשיא סנטוס אמר לנו אתמול מה יחסו שלו כחטוף לשעבר בארצו כלפי ארגוני הטרור בקולומביה.
With terrorist organizations, good intentions don't matter. With terrorist organizations, human rights don't matter. With terrorist organizations, international criminal law don't matter. All they want to do is see how they can pressure you to try to show their strength on the one hand, their ability to intimidate on the other, and their inhumanity, which for them is something that doesn't matter either.
I would like to show you and to our audience a TV report, a television report about a Colombian father who struggles to get the release of his son, Emilio Moncayo, after 11 years of captivity. Let's see.
The last family photo of teenage soldier Pablo Emilio Moncayo. Date 1997. The corporal was taken hostage one Christmas 11.5 years ago. Colombian FARC rebels stormed a communications post like this one, killing 10 soldiers and capturing 18 others, including Moncayo. Since then, his father Gustavo thinks of just one thing.
When I finally hug Pablo Emilio and say, "You're free," I just can't imagine the joy we'll feel.
He's had only these grainy proof-of-life images, occasionally sent by the leftist rebels, to watch his 18-year-old son grow into a 30-year-old man. Moncayo and a fellow corporal are now Colombia's longest-held hostages.
How many years have they lost in that jungle without a voice of encouragement or a voice that says, "Good morning, Pablo Emilio, have a great day, God bless you," or "Happy birthday"?
After Corporal Moncayo was captured, his father quit his job as a high school history teacher in this southern Colombian town. During peace talks in 2000, he pleaded in vain with rebel commanders for his son's freedom.
You feel rage, pain and resentment. You want to get a gun and shoot them. You want to say everything you're thinking, but at the same time, you choke on your thoughts.
Since then, he's clad himself in chains like the ones worn by the rebel captives. Professor Moncayo began a 900-kilometer march from his home to the capital Bogota in June 2007. He set out alone, but was soon joined by thousands of well-wishers, all demanding the government bow to guerrilla demands to swap their prisoners for jailed rebel comrades. But right-wing President Álvaro Uribe refused to cave in. Professor Moncayo says he's walked more than 2,500 kilometers now. Wherever he goes, strangers want to shake his hand and pose for photos with him.
You know, as a former kidnapped victim, it breaks my heart because I know how much a family suffers. And obviously my experience was a vacation compared to what they've had to suffer. I was only 9 months, and this kid, now a man, has been 11 years in the jungle. We hope so. We have opened all doors. We have tried anyway. But, you know, there are certain aspects of a release that we will not accept.
Like what?
They want to free persons who have killed, put bombs, kidnapped. We will release those who we think are not a threat to society. Otherwise, we will get more Moncayos kidnapped. You know, those organizations, they understand that we hurt, and they pressure you because they try to squeeze every inch of what you can give. They put public opinion, and a good man like Mr. Moncayo is just a pawn on their game. When I was kidnapped by Pablo Escobar, There were 2 journalists kidnapped.
By the drugs lords.
By the drug lords. But they operate exactly the same logic, and I'll tell you an experience. The day we were finally freed, one was freed, another journalist was freed at 7 o'clock, so they could be at the 7 o'clock news. And I was supposed to be freed a little bit earlier than 9 o'clock news so that I could make the news. Thank God the car that was going to pick me up or take me back to my freedom was damaged. But they operate exactly the same way. Pressure democratic societies so that we can release or put some people in the streets that they will use again to hurt citizens. And I think that's unacceptable. But we can't forget who we're dealing with. Inhumane, terrorist organizations that don't give a damn about liberty, about human life. So we can't just think we're dealing with somebody that thinks like us.
But you, Mr. Vice President, your family, when you were kidnapped by the drug lords in your country, your family, didn't they pressure the government to release their son, their relative, Francisco?
I'll tell you 2 anecdotes, which I think are very interesting. And because of that experience, I can at least look straight in the camera and look straight to my Colombians about what happened in my case. The only time I was allowed to put up communication, I said to the president in that communication, and I repeated it twice, do as much as you can, but you have a law to uphold. You have a constitution to uphold. And my liberty, the liberty of a Colombian individual, it's not on top. It doesn't go, or it cannot, it's not bigger than the constitutional and the law that Colombia has.
Now you are in Israel. Do you understand the Shalit family in Israel who is pressuring the government to get the release of their son, Gilad, from the Hamas in the Gaza Strip? What are you telling them, Mr. Vice President?
No, I understand their plight. I understand their message. That they have to do it. But that's exactly what the terrorists want them to do. Because they understand, they know very well how much a family hurts, and they know they're going to put pressure on the government, and it's in the end going to generate so much pressure that in some cases it's very difficult to sustain. But as I said before, states and government officials need to understand that the freedom and the liberty of the all is more important sometimes than the liberty of one.
And what do you advise the Israeli government, who is negotiating in order to get the release of Corporal Gilad Shalit?
It's very difficult for me to advise the Israeli government.
From your experience.
It's very difficult, especially not because I'm not a government official from Israel, and I understand how hurt and how much a family, when they wake up every day and they see their son is not there, you saw it in the reportage we just saw, how difficult that is. But as a government official, one release encourages many more captures. And we've seen how terrorists think, and it's just out of experience that's how they operate.
I would like to thank you very much, Vice President of Colombia, Francisco Santos, and have a good stay, pleasant stay in our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.